It's been a while, but we're back, and today we got the Thesis Yoyos X Offset Omniscient. Now we're going to be taking a different route for this review and changing things up a bit. And so with that being said, how does this yo-yo play? So I've had this throw for about a month, and I've been grinding this yo-yo for that whole period of time, and here are my thoughts on it. At first, this yo-yo felt fairly unique. One being the fact that I don't own many organic or roundish shaped yo-yos, and two being that it focuses more on a fun or comfort yo-yo rather than putting all of its strengths into being a purely competition based yo-yo. While Brandon and Thesis were working on this yo-yo in one of Brandon's videos, they did change multiple aspects about it that led to this final design. Overall, I think this yo-yo is quite generic for a bimetal. To be frank, you'll see later on that the yo-yo's performance isn't that much in comparison with other heavy-hitting bimetals in the market. But aside from all that, what about its characteristics? So starting off with the binds, it isn't that bad. It works well enough and it has some pretty secure binds. Not that bad, but not that great either. So 7 out of 10. For comfort, ironically, it's not that great. While the shape does pack a more of an organic feel to it, the part that makes this yo-yo a bit uncomfortable is the distance between the curves of the shape. I'd say this throw could be a lot more comfortable with smaller hands in terms of holding it, but catching it just feels a bit off. So overall, it's just alright, a 7 out of 10. In terms of build quality, it's pretty good. If you own any Thesis or Offset yo-yos, you know their throws are pretty well built. And the same could definitely be said about the Omni, as this yo-yo has a nice build to it, so a good 8 out of 10. In terms of durability, I'd say it might not be that strong. Seeing as how the cup of the yo-yo has this sort of indent that could cause most of the hits on this yo-yo to cause a significant amount of vibe. And seeing as I've hit this yo-yo multiple times, lightly I mind you, the vibe has shown. So yeah, in terms of durability, not the strongest. 6 out of 10. In contrast, the finish on this yo-yo is actually pretty good. Being as to how this yo-yo has a high build quality rating, it makes sense that the finish on this yo-yo is also top tier. However, it isn't the best. I can argue that there are a lot of better finishes than the one they chose to put on this, but it works nonetheless, so a good 8 out of 10. Now given that the yo-yo has a relatively narrow shape and a smaller profile, the yo-yo doesn't really struggle with the string rejections, and yeah, that's it. Not bad, 10 out of 10. For smoothness on the string, it isn't that great. Since this yo-yo is partially susceptible to vibe, the feel of this yo-yo in terms of smoothness can change from being quite smooth to really damn vibey, so just an okay 7 out of 10 for this one. Catchability is somewhat notorious on this one. It can be a bit of a struggle in doing more of your riskier elements, mainly due to the fact that it's more of a techie, comfy style built yo-yo, so not the best, an okay 6 out of 10. The power on this yo-yo ain't that bad actually. Despite a slightly more fun type yo-yo, it delivers a decent amount of power when executing your tricks. It can handle a far level of push before the spin of the yo-yo weakens, so a good 8 out of 10. Not much I can say about this part, it feels just above alright, so an okay 7 out of 10 for momentum. Given how this yo-yo has a more narrow and round shape, it isn't the most aerodynamic yo-yo out there. So moving up to speed with this throw is somewhat of a struggle if you want to push it to its limits. So a decent 6 out of 10. Since this yo-yo is more catering to a fun and comfy yo-yo, it isn't the most extreme. That being said, it can still hold its ground. So in terms of stability, it works just fine. It doesn't tilt immediately, but it does start to tilt quite marginally once it makes too much contact with the edges. So yeah, a decent 6 out of 10 for stability. Moving from the characteristics, what about this throw's dimensions? First off, here are the specs. And for the size comparisons, here is it next to the shutter wide angle, the cadence, the crown, and the node. As for its appearance, this yo-yo definitely reminds me of the Yo-Yo Factory Superstar. Quite suspiciously actually. It really looks like the same yo-yo aside from the profile of the cup and the more noticeable cuts on the shape. It really resembles the Superstar. Jumping into conclusions, what do I think about this yo-yo? Overall, I think this is a pretty generic bimetal. Performance-wise, it doesn't stand out as much as other bimetals, and counterintuitively, the price doesn't completely justify its performance, as some cheaper bimetals really outperform this in a competition setting. But it has proven to be a bit more comforting knowing it's not always about the extremes, so this yo-yo really fits in a small demographic of players' interest, especially with the more premium price point. Is it worth the price? Speaking from a practical point of view, not the most worthy yo-yo for its price. But would I recommend this yo-yo? I'd say if you're into more premium type yo-yos and if you're not too competitively fixated, this yo-yo would fit you great. But for everyone else, not that much. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching and see you on the next one.